I don't know. I kind of felt that's what you would answer. Well, it's not really quite as complicated, Dan, when you say hi-fi, because hi-fi, I would assume, from the standpoint of the viewer, would well, it would simulate a phonograph and a couple of speakers.
Well, it gets pretty technical, and you're known on the screen as sort of the crazy kid, the clown, the comedian.
Thank God.
Hi-fi is a very technical thing when you get into it. The equipment around this home, you seem to know it backwards and forwards.
Yeah, well, I have advanced. I wasn't meaning to sound facetious. What I'm trying to say is that I have advanced so far beyond the literal translation of the term hi-fi. It's now into a system of pure interest of sound. It's the benefits that can be derived from applying sound to picture. It's just vitally important, whereas most people talk in terms of the vitally important element of the motion picture.
Hi-fi and very complex multi-purpose recording equipment. Jerry's fully equipped recording facilities within his own home are as extensive as most professional studio operations. He thoroughly enjoys his hobby and can record, transfer, dub, add echoes and effects, and do most everything necessary to add complete sound to a motion picture. His home recording equipment also has a direct line to the studio and allows him the convenience of recording soundtracks and narration for a picture without leaving the house. In addition, Jerry has a fully licensed FM station which can be operated from his own stereo room. We'll find out more about the FM station soon. But now, let's look in on Jerry in a light-hearted mood during a not-so-typical stereo session.
Didn't you get interested in electronics long before you got into show business?
Well, not quite electronics. I had gone to school for electrical maintenance and repair. I had put a copper penny into a fuse box and destroyed an apartment house. They suggested I go learn what it is to put a bulb in a lamp. Well, there was an interim, and that was film, and I became very interested in motion picture film, the taking of motion picture film, and I had bought motion picture film with sound. Well, I had treated sound lightly because I was so delighted with the motion picture, and then I found that this cannot be pushed in the background. It's as vitally important to the entertainment factor as the picture itself. So that led me into sound after I had all the fun I could with motion pictures.
Well, now that you're producing and directing your own features, I imagine this is what you have here has now become a part of your business.
Yes.
When does the business stop and the fun begin?
When the business starts.
The fun starts when the business starts.
Yeah.
You're one of the lucky ones.
Well, I have made my work my hobby, actually, because when people refer to whether it's hi-fi, stereo systems, or camera picture taking, photographs, whatever, it's all a hobby, but it's all business, because I've learned. I didn't know that I was teaching myself about direction and about the technical aspects of the business, which I think are vitally important for a performer to know about. You can't put your life in the hands of technicians who do the very best they can, but at the same time, they couldn't possibly apply the care, concern, and dedication to their function in your behalf. They have to do their job the best they can, but along with their job does not go dedication or the concern for your particular position in the business. So I made up my mind to find out what I do to protect myself.
Actually, you're relaxing while you're working.
Yeah.
This is a nice...
I relax most of the time because of this.
Well, your console that I've seen here is obviously custom made. Can you give me an idea how it works?
You turn it on, which is a good start.
Even I can do this.
Yeah. From that point on, it's very close to flying a Boeing 707.
Jerry Lewis, the comedian, is known the world over, but here's Jerry Lewis, the sound engineer, with Dan Jenkins in the echo chamber.
Well, we're sitting here in the cockpit of the not yet designed DC-10. Jerry, what is this room?
This is the stereo room, Dan. We talked about it before. This is where all of the sounds and all of the tapes and the dubs and the nonsense that I carry on, although it, as I said, it isn't quite nonsensical. Because I can do a lot of very creative things in here.
Well, you did a tape on me just a few minutes ago, and my voice came out, made me sound like inner sanctum to the 10th degree. What did you do?
Well, I just added reverberation. We can be talking as we are now, and this mic, of course, is alive, and we can hear you come back flat, or you can come back with a reverberation. I'm going to have to fix that knob one day. We talked about it before. This is where all of the sounds and all of the tapes and the dubs and the nonsense that I carry on, although it, as I said, it isn't quite nonsensical, because I can do a lot of very creative things in here. Welcome to Dr. Cyclops' House of the Unknown.
You got facilities here for multi-track recording?
Yep, 2, 3 tracks, 6 tracks.
All you need is a sound stage.
I got it. I moved the furniture out when Patty isn't looking.
Well, some of this equipment looks like duplicates of other gadgets around here. Now, be honest, do you find yourself buying gadgets not because you need them so much, but because it's the latest thing out?
Well, when you say be honest, I would have been without your stating I have to be. I like to buy things because they look interesting, and if I can figure them out, I'm happy. If I can't figure them out, I try to return them. This is actually a Chamberlain. That's what it's called. It's somewhat like the stereo room that I have inside, except that it's preset tapes and materials that are on loops that are consistently turning, and you can hit sounds, and that's one of my favorites. And oh, you can do many things with it, and of course you can get vocals. What happened to the vocals? There he is. And you can get different tempos. You just pick the register. Gonna be the tree that bloomed again. You're never gonna clear it. Welcome to the royal beach of the Pacific as we slowly sail and dip into the water. Still with us? One violin. I see you crawling there, Dick. Said earlier, if there's something new, I buy it. I mean, if you recall, I said that I don't necessarily buy something I don't need. This is something I needed. Welcome to the Israel Inner Sanctum. Very interesting. No home should be without it. Actually, these things are as commercial and as inexpensive as a Rolls Royce. I usually get the things that I need, and the new things, I like to think modern, not based on any commercial, of course. When there's a new device, I like to apply my setup to it, or apply it to the setup. I like to keep up with what's happening now.
All right, well, now, how do you apply all this to your movie work?
Well, all of this is part of movie work because you hear my voice on the screen and you see you see all of the actions. So anything that I do from the standpoint of dubbing or sound effects or things that I want to apply to a scene, I can do here. I can make them at home at night, prepare my next day's shooting, and literally apply the stuff I made here to the scene, and it helps, rather than wait for going to special effects or sound, etc., dubbing.
Do you think the man sitting in the 10th row in the theater watching Jerry Lewis clowning on the screen has the faintest conception that you have also had a very large hand and everything else that's going on that screen?
I don't think he cares, nor do I think it's important that he knows. I think, as a matter of fact, in a sense, it could be a detriment. Find out about that. You're a sneaky fellow,
I'm
boy.
a sneaky fellow when I get around. But
What did I tell you about it? Oh, I don't remember.
You loused up the...
No, it's all right. Go ahead. They don't believe half of the stuff you're saying anyhow.
I think
Go
it's
ahead.
turned interesting. The audience knows you purely as a clown.
I would like to have them stay that way.
And yet you're also a producer, a director. You're also a writer.
Well, you have to understand, Dan, that there were an awful lot of very, very fine talents over the years that did an awful lot of the things because they all intermingle. And a lot of people aren't aware of it. One of the greatest clowns that ever lived was a great director and a great writer for the things that he did. Ham Hamilton, Larry Seaman, some pretty good people. Yeah. And, of course, we must never exclude Mr. Chaplin.
No, well, he began it all.
Now, I don't dare to put me, or for that matter, a couple of the other people in the same category with Chaplin, but nonetheless, I think that it's vitally important to know your business. And there are many facets of your business. I don't care what job you hold down.
Your record and tape library is very impressive here. I've noticed by the handwriting on the bindings that you keep the files pretty much in shape yourself. From the looks of it, you buy one of everything. Is that right?
No, not quite. I keep the files in shape myself. And the only reason that I print them and title them and file them myself is because I more or less photograph it as I'm doing it, and then I can find the material much quicker. And then I wound up cross-filing an index book, so I didn't have to do it myself.
Well, when you're showing a movie here or playing records for guests to demonstrate all this intricate equipment, do you really think that people understand or appreciate what they're listening to?
Depending upon, well, there are a lot of people that love good sound, and sound is an exciting, wonderful adventure into a great field. And there are many people that say, "Oh, that's so loud." Well, they're out at a show immediately.
They're through.
Yeah,
I can leave
now. They say that's too loud. You know, they don't like to listen to music the way it should be listened to. And in order to hear all of the good tones and the second lines and the third lines. As you know, in an arrangement, there's the top line, the melody, a second line, a third, possibly a fourth. Well, unless it's up, you cannot hear the loveliness of the arrangement or the great works of some of the great masters.
I don't mean to put my foot in it, but when I listen to stereo, I find some of it coming from here and some of it coming from here, and I don't like this. I want it all coming from one place. I'm a square.
Well, then you don't go to Cinerama.
No, I don't go to Cinerama.
You want one picture in the front, you're not interested in the hinges.
Hinges. I don't go to the theater to see hinges. I'm a square.
Well, that's taste, Dan. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I don't think it's being square. There are a lot of people that prefer monaural sound and don't understand the feeling for stereo.
Have your any of the 5 children shown any specific interest in hi-fi?
Yes, considerably. Gary, at the age of 15, he was knocking my brains out with these great new acts such as the Brown Checkered Cheese Group and the Blue-Eyed Feldmans, or whatever they called them. And then when he was about 16 and a half, he asked me, Dad, were the Dorsey orchestras exciting? And he also wanted to know if I thought Lincoln was a nice guy. You know, he puts me, I'm like 94 the way he talks.
It's all right, it's still better than rock and roll.
But he's now interested in the big band sound, and he's developing a better taste. That, of course, is my opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with rock and roll as long as we don't have to listen to it.
I'm with you. Well, I think it'll come as sort of a surprise to many viewers to learn that among your myriad activities, you are also actually a part-time disc jockey, right?
Somewhat.
Elaborate.
Well, I have interest in an FM station in the Valley, KVFM, and we just got permission to retitle to call it as KJPL. And I broadcast from the stereo room, Saturday, Sunday nights, a couple hours. Del Moore works for us, and Del has a system at his house we put in on the telephone line. So he talks to me from the Valley, from the Japanese stronghold. He built a Japanese-type home, so we call it the Japanese stronghold. And this, of course, is the Cape Canaveral of the Bel Air, Israel sector.
Boy, you got to be careful around here with those buttons, too, or you're going to get a Lewis family
I was
fight
on
with
the
an
air
audience of
once.
millions.
I was on the air once when I was saying, I'll be right up, Patty. I'm home and I had 300,000 listeners in the Valley. They knew I was coming up there.
For Jerry Lewis, operating an FM station is extracurricular activity, but it's one that he thoroughly enjoys. Although much of the on-the-air time for this station, KJPL, comes from the main San Fernando Valley studios, Jerry can often be heard as the disc jockey, making station breaks and announcements such as this.
94.3 on your FM dial. And this is Jerry Lewis. We're happy to announce the FCC is announced. For our good fortune, of course, I should say it is our good fortune. The call letters are KJPL as of tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. This is KVFM for the last time, station break by me, 94.3 on the dial. The FM station in the San Fernando Valley for pretty music, nice people, and we're glad you're listening.
Jerry, just for a moment, let's talk about film. This workshop of yours. I haven't seen so much film in one place since the last time I went through the Paramount Vaults. What's this all about?
Well, that's a conglomeration, Dan, of home movies, Christmas mornings of the children, birthdays of the children, anniversaries, Patty and myself. I photograph most all of the important calendar events of the year, as it were, and we get great delight out of rerunning them and seeing the children grow up right before our eyes.
How many thousands of feet would you say you had?
Well, we had an insurance inventory taken for all equipment, library, and so forth, right after this last fire. And I don't know how they figure, but I think they figure from the standpoint of basic cost of film. And they estimated that I have more than 1,400,000 feet of already processed film. I got raw stock. I have over 30 feet I haven't used yet.
Good 30 feet.
Yeah.
Well, it's all been cataloged and filed in such a meticulous manner. How many people work on this?
Me?
You and who else?
Well, Patty will work with me. I taught her to edit. Sprockets were on the left, sound on the right, and the picture wasn't there at all, so I asked her to just relax.
You do all this yourself?
Yeah.
Between 1 and 3 in the morning?
Well, no, I find time. I can't honestly say that I'm at it every day. And when I'm on a production, making the bigger stuff, I don't have as much time because that's a 20-hour-a-day job for me.
What's your latest home project?
Well, the latest home project is putting the 10-year Christmases together. I started photographing the children with sound, and I'm putting 50 to 70 feet of each year together, titling the years and so on, so that we can see the children literally grow before our eyes, and then following the 10-year progression, I will intercut some of the children 10 years ago and today, 10 years ago.
Ooh, what a wonderful thing to have.
Yeah, it's a delightful thing to have, because that's primarily how it all started. I'm a bug on saving things that have to do with the kids and my wife, and that's how I started with the camera.
Well, with all the film around here, there must be a projector somewhere. Where is it?
I can't see. Oh, it's right back there. I got two 35mm projectors, CinemaScope lenses. I can actually project CinemaScope, Panavision, VistaVision, Bad Vision, Lousy Vision, whatever they make. Except for I can show Tardeo, but not Cinerama.
What do you project on? I see no sheet. Have you got a screen? What?
Well, we used to have a sheet, but it got so dirty, you know, so we now use a CinemaScope screen, which comes out of the ceiling.
Right down out of the ceiling?
Yeah, you have to press a button. There's an automatic button in the back, and the man presses it.
Isn't it cheaper just to buy a ticket and go to the movies?
Yeah, well, for pleasure, yeah, Dan, but I don't use this particular system for pleasure. I do occasionally. We'll show pictures for the children, but there are some films I'd like to see sometimes, but I use it for my work. I run my dailies. I run rough cut film here at night. It spares me an hour, actually, rather than going from the set to see my rushes and pick the takes that I want. I will have the film set home after a 4 o'clock running for my crew. And then when I get home, I can have dinner with the family and then run the rushes and do the work at home.
So it's more than just a toy?
Well, I got toys. You want to see them?
I have a Tinker Toy set that's adorable that was given to me some years ago.
You know, you got Willie Mae's ball glove up there, too.
Yes, I have.
Well, this is a fabulous setup, and it is obviously a very necessary adjunct to your work.
To my hobby work.
We got into that in the beginning. Your hobby is your work is your hobby. You relax when you work when you relax.
And I rest when I'm busy.
And you still look 24 years old.
And then I'm going to be a lot older.
Jerry, thanks so very much for inviting us into your home.
Few people have captivated the hearts of the public as has Jerry Lewis. Few have risen to such heights without loss of perspective. Not so with Jerry, who continues to amaze with his constant drive to master new worlds. He loves life and lives to make people laugh. He gives of himself when others would shy away. A remarkable, lovable clown, this man, Jerry Lewis.